What makes you afraid? Some of All Fear lives at the crossroads between our greatest phobias and the horror movies we love to experience. Part pop culture and part psychology. It's time to find out why we're all so scared of the dark.
What's it say?
This bubbly water says, "Hold cans with me."
Hold cans with me.
That's adorable and also kind of salacious.
We're addicted to those bubbly waters lately.
Totally. This one's grapefruit.
They're good. They're actually pretty damn good. I like them.
I understand the memes.
And they're better for you.
When people talk trash on like, what's that other really popular, the other really popular one? Oh,
I don't know. Sparkly water.
The LaCroix.
Oh, LaCroix, yeah.
Or LaCroix or whatever. People always.
Didn't they find out LaCroix was like had some issues with like the water wasn't, or like it was bad, or had some sort of like.
I want to say that there's some sort of like artificial sweetener in it.
Something was going on with it recently. I don't know if these bubbly waters are supposed to be like no calories,
sugar,
no nothing. Yeah, just like water, but like with natural flavors.
It kind of tastes like you ran water over a grapefruit.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
You're drinking that.
The kids even like them.
Run over grapefruit water.
The kids even like them, and they're not soft drinks, and you know.
I googled to see.
It still isn't as good as
regular water.
Good old fashioned whiskey.
Oh wow.
Good old fashioned Jim Beam, and the Kinklin that goes with it.
The associated Kinklin.
But we're back. It's been a little bit of an absence.
We're back, bitches.
We're sorry again for the delay.
Life happens.
But you know what? I think we're going to kind of, we may put one out once a week when we can. We may put one out once every other week when we can.
We've been in this relationship
that's life, man.
a while now, so we'll put out once every couple of weeks now. And you'll be okay with it.
You know how it works.
Secretly, you'll harbor resentment.
You know how it works. I mean, every couple of weeks is, you just have to put out every couple of weeks just to keep things status quo.
Just until you ask us to marry you finally after 10 years.
Just status quo. That's all you need, just a couple of weeks, every couple of weeks. No big deal. But welcome back, folks, to the Sum of All Fear podcast.
Hey, Feardos.
I'm Drew.
I'm Kris.
That's Kris. I'm the horror nerd, and she's the smarty pants therapist, fire engine, red-haired co-host, and my sexy wife.
Brain ninja.
If you like the show, we've got some listeners, some people who have been following us pretty consistently. If you like the show, please go to your podcast apps, give us a rating, give us a review. Check out our social media. We're on Facebook at Sum of All Fear Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram at Sum of All Fear Pod. And any questions on phobias or any movies that you think would be great phobia movies, or just want to chat with us, directly about something, send us an email at someofallfearpodcast@gmail.com. And that's my spiel.
Boom.
That's my thing. That's my little.
You need a sign off, like when you do like Emerald. Bam.
Yep, that's it. But yeah, get that out of the way. Got all the official stuff out of the way. But yeah, we've been busy, man. It has been really, really busy. Busy with, we've had car problems. We had our car breakdown, which was fun. Which, honestly, we've lucked out. We have two beater old cars. We've been needing new cars for a couple of years now. They're both over 200,000 miles.
He says beater. I love my car.
She's really attached.
I don't. It runs.
I cannot wait to buy a new car.
It runs great. Would I like to have a new one? Absolutely. Do I need a new one? No. Do I think about it every day? Absolutely not. That's a waste of my time.
Well, whatever.
Wasting my time.
I need a new car.
It goes from ya to ba, and that's all I need.
It goes from point A to point B.
Does it protect me from the wind? Yes. Okay. Bonus.
I want like Bluetooth and be able to listen to my music, and my car has long since not been able to do a lot of the things that I would like it to do, and it's time. But yeah, so we were dealing with that, and we had baseball season that started with our little league teams, which is just freaking nuts.
6 games a week.
Yeah, we did. I think we did have 6 games last week, didn't we? Yeah.
6 games at
between the two kids.
An average of an hour and 45 minutes to 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And of course, I'm
But
glutton for
we
punishment.
only have one loss so far on each team. So
That's right. We're doing good.
Drew.
Yeah, we're winning. We're playing well. The kids are playing well, and it's just a giant time suck, but it's fun. And you know what?
Fun time suck.
You only have this time in your kids' lives once, right? So
and it's only for 6 weeks.
It's just is what it is. It's more like 8 weeks, more like 10 weeks. But
shut up.
You're forgetting about playoffs and playoffs. We snuck out and saw Pet Sematary one night.
Oh, we did.
We were gonna go see Us, but I was like, you know what? I know we've been talking about going to see Us, and
been bugging me like so much to see Us. I even had the great idea. We have a drive-in in Sparks. It's right near us, and I love the drive-in. And this is a hearkening out to you, Joe Bob. I love the drive-in. And Drew had the opportunity to see both of these at the
That's right, back to back at the drive-in. But it was a freezing ass cold night. So the drive-in's only fun if you can bust out some lawn chairs. And
I would have liked to snuggle up with you in the back.
My car again is not comfortable enough to sit in through a whole movie.
No, in the back trunk. Do you remember when we took that car to the drive-in when we were young and in love?
But then we would have to open. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Good fun, good times. But yeah, no.
The drive-in lives on.
I'm all about the drive-in. In fact, actually, that'd be kind of fun. We should go see Us at the drive-in if it's still there. It might be because they're pretty good about keeping things for a little bit longer than the theaters. So we'll see.
Now you want to go.
But Pet Sematary was pretty fun. I liked it.
A scary double feature at the drive-in.
Did you like Pet Sematary?
I did. It was pretty good.
I thought it was fun. And we saw it because it was open. We saw it on opening night. And I never get to go see movies on opening night. And I was like, you know what? It's opening night for Pet Sematary. Let's go. And the theater was not very busy. So I don't think it did. I haven't looked at the numbers.
Night, but it was Thursday night.
They did. Too. That's when they normally do opening nights, like Wednesday nights at midnight or Thursday. That's normally opening nights for movies.
Meh.
In the last, 30 years. But it was kind of good. I liked it. I thought they did enough different stuff with the original that it made it interesting. I thought it was fun. What'd you think?
It was cute. I liked it. I thought that it was awesome that the little girl went all rampage murder.
Spoiler alert.
Whatever.
Oh, I guess they know that from the trailers.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the trailers did. I only watched the very first trailer, so I knew about the girl being the zombified, the one who dies. But apparently there were some other trailers that came out that gave away a lot more about the plot, which I don't understand. And I listened to the directors this week on a podcast talk about why they did it. They just trying to drum interest, I guess. And they had done some studies that if you give away a lot of plot points, people are more likely to go to the movie.
Well, I wonder.
But I still think that's super lame.
I wonder if part of that is the same reason that I look up spoilers, because these major plot points in these movies, if we kind of know ahead of time what to expect, it's a little bit more enticing to see how they're going to play it out, especially with a movie that is in a remake process.
I guess maybe. I
always diss on my processes.
I think you're right. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure that's true. I just don't think I don't like it.
I know you don't like it.
So it might be, you're probably exactly right. I just think it's dumb.
I want to reflect the words that you said back to you. I'm right.
Yeah. Well, you're right most of the time. That's not new. It says, you think that's not some sort of like, that's not some sort of deep, dark admission. Like I am pretty certain that's normally the case. And the ending got criticized a lot, but I kind of liked it. It was good. My school alarm went off.
You gotta go pick the boys up from school.
I put the phone on airport mode, but apparently that doesn't airplane mode, but that doesn't change having the alarm go off.
That's good to know.
But yeah, so that was fun. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I am still on team original though, because I like Herman Munster and I like his East Coast accent. John Lithgow just didn't quite do it for me.
That was what you mentioned.
Sometimes that is better. That's good. I like that.
That was a good impression.
Yeah. So, overall though, I'd give it probably like a B-. It was a fun remake.
We give it 3 screams.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did some good things to kind of drive you off take you thinking that something's not going to happen. And then it does, stuff from the original. Yeah. So, Joe Bob marathons we've been watching on Friday nights again. And we didn't live tweet this last week because I was gone somewhere, but last week we did. Mm-hmm. Cue the Winged Serpent. was the first one. And the second one he did was Society, which is our movie for today, which I thought was really freaking great timing. We totally had decided on doing Society before he did that episode. So,
and he imparted some amazing knowledge.
Yeah, and so I got some cool shit from Joe Bob.
We'll never be able to do it better than him.
No, hell no.
You can't follow that up.
But it's just such a freaking bonkers movie that, it's so great. It's a good one to talk about, and it was fun listening to him talk about it.
Oh yeah.
And then this week he did Deathgasm, which was a pretty freaking badass movie too, which I had never seen before. Actually. I've almost turned it on a couple of times.
New Zealand death metal.
Yeah, calling the devil from your metal music, total like play on the 80s, satanic panic stuff. It's great. It's a great movie. And then he did The Changeling, which is a classic. It's a classic haunted house, type movie with George C. Scott. That's really probably one of the top. I'm sure it's considered one of the top 20 or 30 at least horror movies of all time. It's a good one. So that was kind of our last couple weeks. We've just been busy, crazy busy, doing lots of stuff, getting ready to add new jobs, possibly.
Adulting. Yeah,
adulting. Boring shit.
I know.
I wish I was podcasting and watching more horror movies. That's what I wish I was doing.
I know. You would never be.
I need, what? Our one listener out there that's independently wealthy, just, prop us up, man. Hook us up, and we'll just do this we'll do 3 episodes a week.
I don't like your pandering.
I'm pandering to the one person out there that's independently wealthy. I know they're listening. Maybe they're in New Zealand and they're death metal fans. Maybe they're to offer them? Maybe they're British and they really enjoyed our Anglophobia episode.
Maybe.
Or maybe they were terribly offended. But I know we talked about me doing the What the Fear segment, but you had already prepared, so I think we'll go traditional and we'll still have you do the What the Fear this week. What do you think?
Sure.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? It's time for everyone's favorite phobia-based trivia game.
What the fear? You say it now.
What the fear?
There you go. Okay, you have to say it like that.
All right, it's time for What the Fear.
Yada da, yada da.
Da 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 da. Choo chee.
Cheesy music, cue it.
Cheesy game show music.
Yeah.
What the Fear is our phobia-based trivia game where Kris gives us a word and a couple of clues. Sometimes a couple of clues.
If you really need it.
And then and most of the time I do. And then I have to guess poorly about what the.
No, don't say poorly. You got 2 out of 3 the time before this time.
I'm doing better with the hints.
You're doing great.
I'm starting to be careful with your paper there. It's gonna kinkle all over.
I don't want it to. It would crinkle.
It'd be crinkling.
It would be crinkling and you're kinkling.
But yeah, you give us a word, you give us some clues, and then we got to guess what the phobia is.
Yeah.
So without further ado, what is our first word for today?
Your first word.
First word for today. Wow.
Is
I ran that together.
Ergophobia.
Ergophobia.
ERGO phobia. Ergophobia.
ERGAO phobia.
Mm-hmm.
Ergophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
People with ergophobia might seem lazy. As your hint.
People with ergophobia.
They might heck Mondays.
Heck Mondays?
Uh-huh.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that a hashtag Heck meme. Mondays?
Heck Mondays. It's like the work appropriate version of Fuck Mondays.
I see. Let's see. Might seem lazy. Do these people fear work?
They do. These people fear work.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they fear work. And there's actually 6 different kinds of ergophobia of varying severities and varieties that kind of narrow down why someone would be so fearful of going to work. But they would heck Mondays, but like every day. They would just heck every day. And it's very commonly seen in healthcare workers, more commonly known as the corollary burnout.
Wow. So I have that. I don't like work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like work at all.
Yeah. You probably have burnout.
Can I just claim this phobia?
You can't.
And like, you know.
That's not how any of this works.
No? That's not how this works?
That's not how any of this works. No.
I have ergophobia. I don't want to go. I can't work today.
I'm going to blow up the building.
My stapler.
Give me my stapler back.
It's gonna blow up the building.
So you're 1 for 1. Great job.
Wow.
Doing work.
That was a pretty easy one. I will say.
I think
that was pretty easy.
I think a lot of these might be easy today.
Oh yeah?
For you.
Woohoo.
So, okay.
Ergophobia is the fear of work.
Okay.
All right.
Let me get back to my crinkling here. Your next one is turophobia. Turophobia. T-U-R-O phobia.
Turophobia.
Turophobia. And
terrible.
Your hint is
terrible.
For a turophobic, their dream vacation wouldn't be to Plymouth, Wisconsin.
For a turophobic, their dream vacation wouldn't be to Plymouth,
Wisconsin.
Plymouth, Wisconsin?
Plymouth, Wisconsin. In all of your...
Is there something specific about Plymouth, Wisconsin?
There is. In all of your carny travels, I thought you would know this right off the bat.
Oh, man.
Come on. In case those of you don't know, Drew was a carny.
Is Plymouth, Wisconsin where the cheese castle is?
I don't know.
Is it where it's not where the Mars cheese castle is?
I've never been.
No,
that's all I know about the hint.
Is it where the Wisconsin Dells are?
I don't know. No, I have no idea.
Okay, Plymouth, Wisconsin. Turophobia.
It's not like terrible.
It's not the fear of Charles Barkley.
It's not the fear of Charles Barkley.
Terrible.
It's so terrible.
It's pretty terrible. We saw him at the we see him every year at the Tahoe Celebrity Tournament and Celebrity Golf Tournament one time.
Yeah, we saw Justin Timberlake that year that he got groped by someone in the crowd. No, he won't come back. This is why we
maybe
can't
that's
have nice
I'm
things.
sure that's not the reason. I'm sure he gets groped by people all the time.
That's probably why he won't go back.
If you hadn't groped him, maybe he would have come back.
It wasn't me. Oh, I'd go down in blaze of glory trying to do that. But no.
Yeah, right?
I was sitting on a boat.
On a boat. We both did that at the same time.
Okay,
I'm on a boat. I'm stalling right now because I feel like I should know what's in Plymouth, Wisconsin, but I don't think I do. So this hint.
I think you've been there before.
I don't think I've ever been to Plymouth.
I think you'll kick yourself, but
I've been to lots of places in Wisconsin, but Plymouth does not stand out in my head. Is there something about the name Plymouth? Like it's not the fear of pilgrims.
No. Is that your guess?
No, okay. I'll guess. Let's see. Let's do the fear of beer. Beer.
Why beer?
Well, I was going for the big things in Wisconsin, right? Beer, cheese, cows.
Cows and cheese are very closely linked. Do you know this, right?
Walleye.
No, those of you.
Ed Gein. Serial killer Ed Gein.
Yes, it's a fear of Ed Gein.
Which is a justified fear. I mean, he did like to make lampshades. He did like to make lampshades out of people and nipple belts. I don't think that's the first time I brought that up on this show.
Nipple belts?
Yeah, nipple belts.
You never wear the one I got you.
I know, you never. But it goes so well with my vulva cowboy boots.
And your labial tie.
My labia tie.
Plymouth, Wisconsin is worldwide known as the capital of cheese.
So it was cheese. It was the fear of cheese.
Yeah.
That's what I guessed originally.
No, you didn't. You asked if there was a cheese castle there. That's not guessing.
Damn it. Cheese. That's why I went with beer, because it didn't seem like that cheese was right. That's what I should have gone for.
So, fun
Turophobia.
fact.
I should have known that too, because I think I've heard used with cheese before.
Fun fact. It's related to this fear is related to getting traumatized in early childhood, aka our kids, who our eldest son was diagnosed as lactose intolerant when he was very young, but he is also...
It's just a milk allergy that was like mild.
But for the longest time, he was afraid of cheese. And his youngest brother, who had never at all been tested or anything, also had the fear of cheese.
Yeah, they just don't
because of him.
They're just. I've noticed it without. There's lots of other kids too. Like there's lots of other kids that are their age that don't like cheese. I don't understand it.
Yesterday, okay. So we got to the field right at baseball, and he loves their cheeseburgers. Right, cheeseburgers with melted cheese. Right. He comes back because I asked him to get me one as well, and he said sure. So he went and he got 2 of them, and he brings them back. And he's got this look in his face, and he's like, "They put the cheese on after." And it's just like sitting on the patty. And he was so reluctant.
You should have taken it back. That's not right.
He was so reluctant to eat it. It was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Anthropophobia.
You should have had him take it back because that's not right. You don't just set cheese on top of a burger. That's fucked up. Come on. Who was working the grill? I'm going to get him fired.
I have no idea. They're volunteers.
I know they're volunteers because I work the grill as well.
So yeah, either it's early childhood trauma or watching someone who has kind of a fear or an aversive reaction to cheese, or the texture of cheese that kind of get people this turophobia.
Interesting. Right? All right. Well, I should have gotten that one, but your poker face led me down a different road.
Poker face, poker face.
Poke your face.
All right. Are you ready for your last one?
All right. Okay. Let's go.
Your final phobia is caedophobia. Caedophobia.
Spell it for me.
C-A-E-T-O. Phobia. Caedophobia.
C-A-E-T-O. Catophobia.
Or caedophobia.
Catophobia.
And your
C-A-E-T-O. Phobia.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your hint is this would be a terrible phobia considering we've got 100,000 to 150,000 of these.
Like in our body?
We've just got them.
We've just got them?
We've got them. 100
to 150,000 of these in our body.
Mm-hmm.
We've just got them. Are they in our body?
We've just got them.
Where?
We've just got them.
That's not answering my question.
I know. We've just got them though.
Ooh. Okay. Let's go with 100 to 150,000 of these. We just got them. This is I'm going to say the fear of words.
No.
I was thinking words in our vocabulary. No?
Nope. Caedophobes are afraid of hair.
You know what's funny? I thought that right when you first said it, I was like, hair?
You know
skin
why?
cell? Like cells? But I was like, I know cells be more than that.
When I said it, I was twisting my ponytail hair. And then I was like, stop twisting
That's
your
probably
hair,
why.
Kris. And then I like put my hand down very slowly.
Totally. Because I totally had that cross my mind. So they're scared of hair, which actually relates to our movie today. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Do you remember the big weird mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember how she just like hands people hair balls?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like
it's disgusting. What about it?
It's a fear of hair. Hello.
The fear of hair. She hands people hairballs. She would be too afraid.
No, I mean, if she did that to a cataphobe.
Sorry, cataphobe.
They would be very upset.
They would be incredibly upset.
Yeah. She just hands people hairballs and puts them in their hand.
She's got some form of trichotillomania
where
she pulls.
Wasn't she eating it or something too, or like hawking it up, or I don't know. She's the weirdest character in the whole movie, and that's saying something in this movie.
Trichotillomania is a real thing.
Yeah, just chewing on hair.
So caedophobes would be paralleled with caedophilics.
People who love hair?
Or caedophiles.
Oh, people who are obsessed with hair.
Obsessed with hair.
Yeah, or fetishize hair.
There's
definitely hair fetishes. There's no doubt about that.
And so your fun fact about this is that if you're terrified of your own hair, you can also have a more specific fear, like fear of loose or detached hair. So not it being on your body, but it being detached from your body. And I actually experience a little bit of this like preoccupation because when I'm taking a bath, I actively look for hairs in the bathtub and I get them out of the bathtub before I can continue my bath. Because I don't like loose hairs in my bathtub with me.
Interesting.
I also have been shaving my arm hair since I was 16.
That's right. You have. You're not a fan of hair.
So I'm not a fan of hair.
Not to get too personal. But you are not a fan of hair.
Oh, shut up. So yeah, I have a little bit of this disgust at the idea of loose hair in the tub with me.
Bare necessities, those simple bare necessities.
So yeah, that was fun. I got you this time. I thought with my clues that you would get all of them.
I should have gotten. I think I should have gotten those last two. I should have. Definitely should have gotten cheese.
Great job. Great job, those of you out in Feardo world, if you were playing along.
Yeah. And so today we're going to be talking about people who are afraid of society. They're afraid of.
This is a pretty broad one.
They're afraid of people.
And we're not talking about folks who experience delusions as a result of mental illness.
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that because
are identified by like schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder.
Right. So there's a number of things that can be confused with this phobia.
Right.
And really our movie for today probably is a kind of delves a little bit into confusion as to where this phobia really probably lands. But our phobia for today is, I listened to a pronunciation of it. It's actually Anthropophobia. Anthropophobia. It looks like it should be Anthropophobia.
Right.
But it was supposedly pronounced Anthropophobia.
I'm going to let you say it. Anthropophobia.
The fear of society. Hey, Kris.
Hey, Drew.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast?
Why, yes, I have.
When we were trying to get this podcast off the ground, we had a lot of questions. Like, how do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen to? How do we make money podcasting? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now just by reading this ad.
Right now?
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now?
That means if you want to get a podcast going and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. Join me and Kris and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We can't wait to hear your podcast. All right, we're talking Anthropophobia. I'm never going to pronounce it right.
Nope, me either. Anthropophobia.
This phobia is a social phobia. It's the fear of society, the fear of people, and it's a pathological, persistent, and excessive fear. And it's from the Greek. Our etymology comes from anthropos or anthropos, which means man or human. So pretty easy. But it differs from some of those other fears like agoraphobia and things like that, or that we talked about before. Give us a little, give us the lowdown here on this here fun phobia of the day.
Sure. I mean, this one can even be differentiated from interpersonal relational phobia, which is kind of like a tangent off of anthropophobia. I'm going to say it real slow.
Yeah, and well, see, when I heard pronounced, it didn't pronounce a th, but I can't stop pronouncing it, so whatever.
I can't not see it. Okay. So yeah, anyways, there is a differential diagnosis to be discussed with regards to anthropophobia versus, let's say, social anxiety disorder, right?
Right.
So what do you think the differences are?
So, I'm not sure. I know that, I think a social anxiety disorder, is a result of panic attacks and things like that, maybe, or like being, I don't know. Actually, I really have no idea. I have no clue. That's what we pay you the big bucks for.
So social anxiety is more of an intense anxiety when in a social situation or when predicting you might be in a social situation, right? Whereas anthropophobia could also include symptoms of anxiety that are unrelated to actual social interaction or even with a single person. And what I mean by that is it doesn't take social interaction to have anthropophobia.
So you can be an introvert,
mm-hmm.
right? But even even interact. Well, I guess I'm confusing the different things, but you can be somebody who you don't go out into society at all. But if the mailman comes to the door, you're not going to answer it.
No,
because you're scared of any interaction with people
in general, anything. They feel unsafe, or you feel as though there's an anxiety in terms of your presence. Like I'm here and something is expected of me just because I'm here. And so there's this anxiety of not being able to deliver, not being able to be a part of, assimilate to, or become a member of this community, which is what makes our movie today so hilarious to me. Because if you think about it, there is no society unless there's kind of a slight intermelding of one person with another within the society.
Sure.
And these kind of common things that bind them together, literally in the movie, and more figuratively in life. So people with this specific phobia, it's actually an unclassified specific phobia. They really fear all aspects of people and society and community. They're more likely to be hermits in the woods.
So they literally they may move. So they're like the Unabomber, right? They're gonna limit themselves to any as little human contact as possible.
They may be folks like who are experiencing chronic homelessness, and they choose to experience chronic homelessness because they would rather do that than have to live under any sort of rules or any sort of eye within society.
Huh.
It's a real intense anxiety or dislike of society.
Interesting. So this thing would be, I mean, obviously this is incredibly debilitating. This is something that would be, would, like you said, force you to live in the woods or force you to live in on the streets, or what kinds of things, what are the characteristics of somebody with this phobia? Like what's the diagnosis? Like you said, it's different than social anxiety disorder. It's different than, and it's also different than agoraphobia. It's different than, it can be confused with delusions as well, because people who are fearful of that somebody is going to hurt them,
right,
or somebody is going to that's different, right?
Right. So in order to have a diagnosis of this kind of a specific phobia unclassified, you have to really go through a lot of other diagnoses and rule those out first, right? You don't just go, oh, well, these people don't like
being around people. Yeah.
So they're anthropophobic. Well, no, that's not how this works. It has to be ruled out as not a symptom associated with any other mental disorder. Like, for instance, bipolar disorder can sometimes experience intense delusions. And in schizophrenia, persecutory. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Persecutory delusions are actually quite common. They hear voices or they see things that make them feel as though they're being attacked or being watched or being monitored somehow.
Monitored by them,
which makes them paranoid of society. But that's attached to another mental diagnosis.
It's more delusional disorder, a delusional disorder, as opposed to.
It's more a symptom of a larger disorder, like schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia, like that we would see there.
And if a person avoids going to a party or a social event, maybe for fear of being ridiculed or whatever, that is more of a social anxiety disorder not this
Well, we'd
phobia.
have to go a little bit further. Like, is it always just a party? Is it a party with someone specific in it that maybe I'm trying to avoid, or maybe I feel ashamed around, or I don't want to be put in a situation with? Is this person maybe introverted, which is on the scale of, not liking people, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm definitely on that scale. I would much rather hang out with dogs than people any day. But I'm not phobic of people or society. I actually understand a lot of aspects of, human interaction.
Well, and you don't dislike being around people.
No, I don't dislike being around people
in smaller doses.
But as an introvert, which you spoke briefly to that earlier, as an introvert, being around people actually saps a lot of my emotional energy. So there's the person that maybe is fearful that people around them want to hurt them or harm them in some way or something like that. That's probably a delusional disorder of some kind, or some sort of schizoaffective. You have to look at it, right? Not all situations are the same. But then you have a person who avoids a person who looks like someone who abused them. Right.
That's more of a PTSD thing.
That has to do with a traumatic event that we can pinpoint. And there's a specific symptom that, causes a triggering event. It's not all of society. It's just these things that are triggering to them. Right.
And then there's people who avoid being around people because they're afraid they're going to have a panic attack.
Right. And that's anticipatory anxiety. Right. So I'm scared to be put in a situation that previously I have either experienced something fearful or I have been fearful in the moment. And that has caused me some sort of shame.
And we've talked about that
and I want to avoid that.
With agoraphobia.
Right.
Which is a big trigger of that, right? Which, panic attacks in certain places, you have the same.
Because I don't want to go there.
I can't go to the mall because I had a panic attack there. And it was very embarrassing.
And I have another one, I will be, absolutely just flabbergasted.
And there's people who have like a long lasting pattern of like sensitivity to rejection or, just prefer social isolation. They may not be this phobia either. So there's a lot of things that you have to really dig. So what is it that's specifically characteristic of this phobia that would make it diagnosable as opposed to all of these other kind of social phobias? Because that's what I find really fascinating about this, is that it's not these other things that when I first thought about it, I was like, oh, this is, I was assuming it was the fear of society. Like, I'm scared that everybody around me is, out to get me kind of idea.
Well, this is not the symptom, it's the diagnosis, right? So in the other examples that you were talking about, the delusions about society or about those around them, those are a part of the diagnosis. They're a symptom of a larger thing that's going on within someone. Whereas a phobia is very specific and very untied to anything else, right? So I fear being in society because I fear being ridiculed by society, right? So I want to avoid anything that has to do with society. I don't want to go to the grocery store because then I'll have to interact with people. People will have to see me. I'll have to be a part of this larger thing, and I don't want to be a part of that. It can be related to an intense trauma where you really just want to have separation, or you have that separation anxiety associated with losing someone very close to you and then not trusting people around you not to hurt you. So before they can hurt you, you just cut them off icy cold. That's what differentiates these things, that like anthropophobia, from a symptom of a diagnosis. Of
some other diagnosis.
Right. But either way, a trained clinician would go into this and look at all the possible, other things that it could be associated with. And they're probably not likely to be diagnosed with anthropophobia, right? They might be diagnosed with a specific phobia unclassified,
right?
Where the focus is kind of around this, but we haven't ruled out the fact that
they would probably be diagnosed with a social anxiety disorder.
Yeah,
most likely.
We haven't ruled out the fact that it's not related to social anxiety, right? So clinicians can actually have rule out diagnoses where, they show, hey, I don't have enough information yet, or I haven't established enough rapport yet with this person to be able to figure out if it's this versus this, but this is what I'm thinking. And then over time, you collect evidence and you provide evidence and feedback as to, okay, now I kind of see what this is. Because people think of bipolar disorder as this rapid shift in cycling and mood and, all this stuff. Rapid cycling bipolar disorder is an incredibly rare thing. Bipolar disorder cycles of mood last weeks and then are followed by normal periods and are followed by periods of depression that last months or years. All it takes is one manic episode that lasts longer than 2 weeks
to be diagnosed
with
bipolar.
But it has to be longer than 2 weeks, and it has to be not related to medication, drugs,
right?
Anything
outside,
like that, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to rule out all those things before you would give someone the diagnosis of bipolar disorder. Just like with anthropophobia, you'd have to rule out every other possible thing before it would be like, okay, really the focus here is this person is terrified of society, being a part of society. They reflect a severe attachment disorder, basically, with regards to people.
It was interesting when we put out a post on Facebook a while back that just the picture just said, what makes you afraid, which is kind of our little moniker, right? And then, I kind of listed some information about our podcast and links to some episodes, and then put a little money behind it and promoted it on Facebook. And so it, it was seen by, a lot of people and got a lot of responses. What was interesting was a lot of the responses I was expecting, clowns and spiders and,
snakes.
Whatever, flying, the typical phobias. Overwhelmingly, like I would say probably more than half the answers had something to do with like people, humans, government, other people, those were all the popular response. Politicians was a big one. But like people was a really big answer, which I thought was really interesting. And I guess that's, a lot of us kind of probably feel, I guess what makes you afraid is other people and what other people can do to you and things like that. And I suppose in this extreme form, it could develop into something that you just don't want to be a part of anything in society at all.
Right. And so Japan actually has done a lot of studies.
That's a big thing. That's right. I remember I was reading some of that.
So anthropophobia is tangentially associated with, and pardon my Japanese, for my Japanese speaking friends out there, this is associated with Taijin Kyofusho.
Sounds pretty good.
Right? Or an intense culturally specific fear of distress, is basically what that concept means. And it's an intense fear of interpersonal relationships, especially offending others. Right.
Well, it's a shame-based culture.
Right.
Right. Where everything brings shame.
Right. And so this phobic level of anxiety about offending others is impacting society to a point where they are not procreating enough to keep up their culture.
They're not boning because they're not going out. They're not going out
because they're too into fearful or anxious of establishing any kind of relationship for fear of offending someone. And so the government now has been tasked with a lot of initiatives in order to bring the Japanese population back together and encourage relationships and sexual bonding and procreation again. One study of 150 Chinese and Japanese subjects included 5 anthropophobics plus 2 control groups of folks who were not anthropophobics. And for the anthropophobics, they historically had more problematic parental relations noted, a stronger sense of collectivism characteristics, and overwhelmingly had sexual contact prior to age 19, which seemed to create a discomfort with the opposite sex, and was significantly associated with the diagnosis of anthropophobia and the severity of the experience of anthropophobia.
Let's be honest. I mean, we should all be ashamed of the sexual contact we had before we were 19 years old.
True.
Because we were terrible.
Man, we were all terrible.
And we were awkward. And it was bad for everybody all around.
We brought shame to our families.
So I get that. I understand. That makes sense. So yeah. I still bring shame to my family.
So the contributions to the development of anthropophobia, as this study indicates, could be early sexual experiences that were negative, need for parental approval, shaped kind of conformity to norms that includes negative sexual attitudes. That's kind of reinforced by the collective, the oriented to culture environment.
Well, you can't say that about Asians.
Oriented? Oh, shit.
You are racist joke.
No one heard that but you.
I just made myself giggle a lot.
You did. You made yourself laugh.
That's not an accepted nomenclature.
So yeah,
nomenclature.
That is on this spectrum of the experience of anxiety of interpersonal relationships or of society or of people or of community. Is, really an issue in Japanese culture right now that they're trying to figure out how to reverse.
They're bringing in people from other countries, like outsiders now. There's like a tourism industry now basically centered around like bring people in from other countries because we got lots of women you can have sex with and have babies, like to kind of keep, like I was just reading an article about how they're moving people in and they're giving like cheap, I don't know, what do you call it? Immigration kind of deals to people within certain age groups, then certain types of people in society from other countries to come to Japan for that reason, because they literally are having a hard time getting their own men to get out of their gaming chairs
because it's become
and go have some good old fashioned horizontal loving going on, some bumping uglies.
Because it's generational now. And it's so rapidly declining their population that it's terrifying. Their government has an entire sector of government devoted to figuring out how to get people to vote again.
So crazy.
That's why there's dirty panty vending machines and, pocket pussy devices in vending machines there, because they really are encouraging society to get in
those are government sponsored.
Yeah. So it's really interesting how
would you like to have that job? Like be the president of the department
that'd be really interesting.
President of the Department of fucking. Like that's the name of the
DOF.
I am the president of the DOF.
I'm president of the DOF. We're here to make you DTF.
DTF. We're here to make you DTF at the DOF.
At the DOF. I think we just started our new department.
Oh man, this is so good for our movie too, because there's some DTFing in this one.
Oh god.
Some DTSing down to shunting.
I kind of have a fear of
shunting,
society and shunting after seeing this movie. I have an anticipatory anxiety in thinking about what happens in this movie.
It's society. So good.
It's awful.
So is there anything else that we need to know about anthropophobia before we dive into the literal society?
Each other? Before we dive into each other?
Into
and society?
Shunting?
No.
And gelatinous alien sex cults from the rich and famous?
Nope. I'll shunt my mouth now.
Shunt your mouth around what? That's the question.
Oh, you'll find out. Stay tuned for this movie. Holy crap.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's so bad.
I did want to do a couple of real quick. I was thinking, we haven't really been doing honorable mentions much, but I really kind of wanted to pair this with They Live, the John Carpenter movie. It would have been a really good pairing, but man, doing two movies is a lot of work in these deals. But I do want to mention honorable mention because They Live as an honorable mention because it definitely would have given us some other talking points for this phobia.
But society offers so many great one-liners that we couldn't pass up the opportunity to share them with our fellow feardos.
Oh my gosh.
We'll appreciate
and
them
it's
as much as we do.
It's titled Society. So for the fear of society, how are we not going to choose society? Good Lord. And thank you, Joe Bob, for renewing interest in Society last week
Joe Bob.
on
and
the
Darcy
drive-in.
the mail girl.
Yeah, for sure. So without further ado, let's dive into 1989's Brian Yuzna directed crazy ass film Society, our feature presentation.
And now our feature presentation. For Bill Whitney,
I've never been paranoid.
fear plays a large part in family life.
I feel like something's gonna happen. And if I scratch the surface, there'll be something terrible underneath.
He's afraid his sister
Could you zip me up, Billy?
is not what she seems.
God, Bill, what's the matter with you?
He thinks his friends are out to get him.
You make waves, Whitney, you're gonna drown.
People are what they are. Now you have to learn to accept that.
He's about to find out the truth.
Why are you guys doing this to me, huh?
What, you've been living with these people all your life and you didn't know anything about this?
Is far worse than he could ever imagine.
If you don't follow the rules, Billy, bad things happen.
Didn't you know, Billy boy? The rich have always sucked off low-class scum like you.
Billy.
Clarissa? Don't be so intense. Now, some people make the rules and some people follow the rules. It's a question of what you're born to.
You never were one of us.
You know, you really deserve what's going to happen to you. I don't think so. Wait.
Can't you see they're setting you up for something?
You know how I hate to give you drugs. You're officially dead.
Don't go home, Billy.
No.
Bill Whitney is about to become one
Showtime, Billy!
with society.
Who are you? Let me give you a hand, Bill.
In Beverly Hills, what you fear is only the beginning.
Anything for society.
So, Kris,
Sup, Drew?
do you want cream, sugar, or you want me to pee in your coffee?
This
That's a line
fucking movie.
from the movie Society.
These guys are literally anthropophiliacs. They
Oh,
are
it's so good.
sexually aroused by the idea of society. High society in this case.
Yeah. So Society is a 1989 Brian Yuzna directed movie. Brian, let's do a little. We got to do a little background on some of the people that worked on this film, because Brian Yuzna, some of you guys probably know him if you're horror movie fans, because he's produced and directed a lot of stuff. He directed Bride of Reanimator, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Return of the Living Dead 3, which is not the best Return of the Living Dead. Just watched it the other day, actually. He did The Dentist, which is actually a really good movie. I really liked it. It's got Corbin Burnson in, starring as the dentist from Major League, of Major League fame, and lots of other stuff. He's done a shit ton of stuff. So he's done a bunch of stuff that he's directed, but he's probably most known for his stuff that he's produced, because he's produced a ton of stuff. He did the original Reanimator with Stuart Gordon, and he did a lot of things with Stuart Gordon. So like the guy's done a shit ton of stuff. I believe he produced From Beyond. He wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Ooh.
Him and Stuart Gordon wrote Honey, I Shrunk
Ew.
the Kids together down in Mexico.
It's
and then they were
kinda
supposed
gross that this guy made that movie too.
right? Isn't that, it's
Ew.
awesome. He did, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, they were supposed to produce it and direct it too.
Honey,
I
I
think.
Shunt the Kids.
Honey, I Shunt the Kids. That's what this movie should have been called.
Honey, I Shunt the Kids.
Because there's a lot of
That is
shunting
true.
of their own children.
Oh,
There's a lot of incest going on.
so much.
Honey, I Shunt the Kids. Damn it. That is so perfect. Oh my gosh. We've got to send that to Joe Bob.
I think that's what the title of the album.
We've got to send that to Joe Bob in response to his drive-in.
For
Damn it. I
sure.
wish I had that night. I would have totally done like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but with like Reanimator
Can you
people
still
and
do
mixed it
it?
up. Oh my gosh, I totally can. I love that. But they were supposed to direct it and produce it, and then I guess Stuart Gordon they were down in Mexico writing it, and Stuart Gordon got super sick, as you do in Mexico, and then wasn't able to do it somehow, and then they ended up finding new director and producer, but then I guess they still used their story for that movie. So anyways, lots of cool shit. Brian Yuzna has done a lot of cool stuff, but he's most well known for this like body horror type stuff, like Reanimator. He's really pretty good at this kind of, these kind of movies. And I think this is the cream of the crop.
Some things you can't unsee, bro.
The shunting of society is,
and said shunting of
so
siblings and parents and neighbors and friends all into one gelatinous man pile.
But the real hero of this movie is Screaming Mad George, who did all of the special effects.
That's true.
And he's a guy from Japan whose real name is Joji Tanny. But when he moved to the US, he started going by George, and then decided George was too generic. So he changed his name to Screamin' Mad George. And the reason he went with Screaming Mad is because his favorite musician was Screamin' Jay Hawkins, who I freaking love, like rockabilly, bluesy, jazz superstar. Guy's awesome. And he loved Mad Magazine.
So we have him to thank for all of that.
All of the gelatinous melding of body parts is Screaming Mad George's doing, which is pretty badass. He also did Big Trouble in Little China, which has some badass special effects too. Predator, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which I think is definitely my second favorite next to the original. And he did Elm Street 4 also, which I think the special effects in those two are the best of any of the Elm Street movies. So we have him to thank for that as well. And he did a bunch of other shit too. But yeah, Screaming Mad George, mad props, bro.
Mad screaming props.
Yeah, big time. Society. What'd you think of this wonderful movie? I haven't given it a synopsis yet, but I will. We'll kind of synopsize it as we go along.
I think it's an anthropophiliac's dream.
Yeah. You think people who just get off on society,
who just get off on being so intertwined and a part of, and maybe even like gossiping and just kind of being
in high society.
So
it kind of pits it. The movie kind of has this undergirding of class warfare and the fact that there's this secret upper class society that feeds on literally the lower class.
Do you want to know why that's fun?
Why is that fun?
Because in biology, an anthropophiliac is a being that prefers humans to other beings, or actually it's in parasitology. But think of like mosquitoes, dermatophyte fungus that feeds off of the derma in your face. They feed, live, and grow preferentially on humans only. So they are anthropophilic.
Ooh, I like it. They're like parasites.
Exactly.
Feeding on humans.
And that's exactly what they were in this crazy ass society movie, when they all just feed off of each other. And
well, let's give a little foundation here. If you haven't seen the movie, and if you haven't,
and they don't just regularly feed off of each other, because honey, I know we get eaten sometimes, but it ain't like that.
Woohoo! Yes. No, this movie starts with a kind of your typical 80s main character. He's got a fancy mullet. But he's having it, like, I think it starts out in the psychiatrist's office, or it starts out with him like kind of freaking out. And then we see that he's seeing a shrink.
Yeah, that tells him that's perfectly normal.
Yeah, all of his problems, he's starting to get paranoid, right? He's starting to get paranoid that he's not like the rest of his family. And his family consists of mom and dad, who are your typical Richie Rich type parents, and a sister who's like your typical Beverly Hills blonde, pretty hot, teenager, and so she's just probably a couple years younger than him, but he feels like something's off, something's not right. He's starting to feel like he is not a part of this family, and this is all in Beverly Hills, so it's all very, very Beverly Hills-ish, and you've got your mansions, and all the people they're interacting with are like these douchey,
and they all keep
everybody at school.
They all keep telling him, they're very dismissive, and they kind of gaslight him, where they're like, "No, you're remembering that incorrectly. That's not how it is."
Well, we haven't gotten there yet. Nothing's happened to him yet. So, he's kind of building up this, like, sensing some weird things, and he's sensing some weird suspicions about his sister, about his parents, about the people, like basically starting to be suspicious of everybody around him. And it kind of develops into this where you're like, is this guy just,
is he going mad?
What's going on? And then we have a scene in pretty early in the movie, which Brian Yuzna actually stuck into the movie because he felt like there needed to be like a shocking sequence kind of early on. And that was his sister showering, and he walks into the bathroom, and his sister's showering. And I
love how you're rubbing your body right now as if you're in the shower.
Because she's rubbing her boobs, and she's reaching down, and she's rubbing her butt. Problem is, her butt and her boobs are on the same side of her body. So he's looking through like the mirror, the opaque shower glass, and realizes my sister's boobs and her butt are on the same side. That's not right. Something is really wrong. And then he opens the door,
and everything's fine.
And by the way, I would really enjoy it if my butt was on this side. You know how clean your ass crack would be? You would just constantly, it'd be so easy to get like down in there.
It would
so much easier.
Look really funny to watch you fuck somebody though.
It would be odd. Yeah, for sure. And I think, but you know what? Like if you were built like that, you probably could be a porn star. I'm sure there'd be somebody out there that'd be way into that.
But you like couldn't watch yourself copulate, very well.
That's right. Everything would be on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I'm thinking.
Yeah, that would be a bummer.
And it'd be weird.
Never mind. I don't want a butt on my front side.
To see your butt.
But it would be really easy if you could just flip around like that. Like, cause she was obviously able to like just change and morph her body any way she wanted to really get in those hard to reach places. And I think that's what Screaming Mad George was doing there in that special effect. He was trying to show us
hard to reach places.
Yeah. Show us that, it's practical to be part of society.
It is
as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he started to see that, and he started to think, am I going crazy? What the hell's going on? And then we have the typical like Beverly Hills, oh, there's a party going on this weekend, and blah blah blah, and his girlfriend is this like super annoying,
socialite, super
annoying bitch. That's just all she wants to do is just be in this upper class
in society
and be invited to the right parties. And Ted Ferguson's parties this weekend, and and so they're out on the beach, and she's just like, Ted's over there with that other group. You should go, try to get us invited to this party. By the way, 80s bikinis, I love them.
On point.
I'm a big fan. High-waisted 80s bikinis, lots of camel toe, very, very skimpy.
Does it remind you of the JCPenney ads when you were
the old school days? Yeah, the old school. Actually, what it reminds me of is I had a buddy. There was always that one buddy when you were growing up that had
the mom,
that had the parents that didn't give a shit. And so like at like 10 years old, they had like bikini girls all over their walls on posters and stuff. And that's what those bikinis always remind me of. Is I had a buddy, Ralph Thayer, that always, and I think I'm trying to think if he shared a room with his brother. He might have shared a room with his older brother. Maybe that was why. But they always had like the race car girls and stuff, and the bikini girls on the beach, and like, surfing ads and stuff, all over their room. And those high-waisted bikinis always remind me of that, because that was like 1989. But so they're on the beach, and he goes and like basically like, he gets the like, you're not part of us, you're not one of us kind of deal, So he's still, again, feeling like he's in
like
this,
a piece of shunt.
He's in this high class family, but yet he's not part of this family. He's not getting invited to these parties. He's not, all this stuff. And so it goes along, and then we find out that this guy who's been kind of stalking his sister is actually like uncovering some really weird shit going on at home. And he brings it, and he's like, dude, I don't want you to be mad at me, bro, but I've been
something's fucky.
I've been micing your family. What do they call that? When they put a mic somewhere?
Bugging?
Bugging. Thank you. I've been bugging. I bugged your dad's car. I bugged your the living room or whatever. And he's like, she's like, just listen, And so then he plays this clip from his little tape recorder, right? And it's basically this whole thing where his parents are talking with the daughter, and they're like talking about how they're going to have this big old orgy.
Really inappropriate.
Yeah. And how, you can have sex with men and women. You can do it with men and women, and you can do all this crazy stuff. And I think the mom tells the daughter, like, like, wow, your boobs look totally sexy. Guys are going to pop high ones when they see you. I love that. Pop high ones.
Use that in a sentence this week, folks.
Guys are going to pop high ones
Guys
when they
are going
see
to pop
you.
high ones when they see you. You're a sniper.
Snipe Selly boys.
Wheel snipe Selly boys.
So he's like, so then he's like really freaking out. He's like, fuck, what is going on with my family? This is super messed up. And he's basically like, I've got to figure out what's going on. Like there's some incestuous weird shit going on. There's some, what is happening? Like he hasn't gone to the point of realizing like how crazy it is, but he knows something's wrong. And so was that a bunny going across our backyard?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've seen a couple of them.
cute. We normally just have birds. Squirrel,
Squirrel,
bunny,
bunny, squirrel, ball.
So he goes to this shrink who he's already skeptical of, right? He's already like not
Super
trust.
sure
He doesn't
about him.
trust this guy.
It's not
anyway.
a great therapeutic
And he
relationship.
gives him the only copy of this tape.
Yep.
Right. So obviously the tape gets changed. It
Smooth move,
disappears.
X-Lax.
Um,
Then the therapist gaslights him and is like, I think you're experiencing paranoia and, just basically just you're wrong. What you're seeing is wrong. What you're hearing is wrong.
yeah, everything is just
Everything
it's
that
just
you think
all
is
in your
wrong.
head, bud.
It's all in your head.
So he starts, kind of fishing around, and there's all these scenes where he's apparently running for student council or something during this time as well. And then there's all this other kind of side plots and stuff going on, which really don't contribute to the ultimate story at all.
When does the super hot honeypot come in?
Oh, right. Yeah. So he meets, so there's this girl, Clarissa, who just takes a liking to Bill and
No. She doesn't just take a liking. She's a super hot female that starts to get super close physically and psychologically to him. She's a honeypot.
Oh, you think so?
She's a honeypot.
But she's not, though. You think she's trying to drag him in? Because I don't think in the end, I don't think she is. I think she actually likes him, right? Or she started off that way.
I think she was put on a mission to get him to be food for society.
Maybe.
So they could feed off of him because, not everybody's
you might be
in
right.
society.
Because in the end, she ends up like liking him,
Yep.
like actually.
But then she falls
him.
for him.
Right.
And
so she
doesn't want to deliver the food to society.
And this is Della. Oh, what's her name? Della. She is. Let's see if I can find it here. I gotta come find her name because Devin DeVasquez is the actress's name. She plays Clarissa Carlin in the movie. Former Playboy playmate before she did this movie, and did a few other things like soap operas and some other stuff afterwards.
Yeah, she's definitely society's
but
honeypot.
she's pretty hot.
She goes out.
So on the beach scene, right when she's out with the beach, that's where there's a couple of scenes in the movie.
She's got the delicious bikini. Is that what you're saying?
She does have a delicious bikini. She has a delicious 80s bikini on.
Would that bikini look as good if her head was on backwards?
Well,
and her boobs were on backwards.
So we get there, right? So he ends up going to Ted Ferguson's party. Right,
ugh, fucking Ted Ferguson.
And Clarissa, this girl brings him this honeypot. Sure, we'll call her the honeypot. She ends up, finding a reason to get him upstairs, and they bang it out.
Yeah.
But at one point, like he's like underneath, and like something's off. He feels something weird. And then he rolls off the bed and he looks back, and her like torso is contorted and weird and all kinds of shit.
Everything's fucky.
And then when he stands up to like go back to the bed and be like, everything's back to normal. So again, he's like, same thing with the sister, right? There's some weird shit going on, but he thinks it's all in his head, or he's not sure what's happening, but he's starting to go deeper down the rabbit hole of this paranoia of everybody around him. Right. We didn't talk about the creepy intro song either. There's a really good creepy intro song. It. At some point, yeah, I'll have to plug it in. I bet you it's in the trailer. I haven't watched. I haven't listened to the trailer yet, but I'm sure it's probably in there somewhere. We probably should have listened to the trailer before we started the show, since it's always good to intro into the trailer. But whatever, we're not professionals.
Whatever.
We're just sitting around in our living room talking into microphones just for fun. So anyways, this whole movie comes to its crazy ass conclusion.
Would you say that it comes to a head?
It comes to a head. Lots of head.
Lots of heads into one.
Into this just.
You've seen Human Centipede, right?
It can't even.
It's worse.
It's worse. Well, it's worse than. Well, I don't know if it's worse than Human Centipede.
That's true.
Pretty gnarly.
That was pretty gnarly.
It's more fantastical and just fucking off the wall. Like you can't even, if you haven't seen it, you can't even put your mind around it until you see it.
Go
or
see
your
it
mouth
so
around
you
it,
can't
I should say.
It. You can't even put your mouth around it.
So basically the spoiler alert, the whole point of this movie is the family is raising this kid, is raising Bill, to be food, I guess.
Yeah, for society members to
society.
feed on.
Society is this secret group of the ultra wealthy that literally feed on the underclass, and they're aliens. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what it comes down to. They're aliens of some kind.
Weird sex cult aliens, like they always are. Why are aliens always in a sex cult?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean,
are we projecting as humans?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you all want to be in a sex cult?
So what ends up in the end is like he comes into this. He's in his house and he's like all paranoid. He's got a knife. He's like got a knife in his hand or something. I don't know. And anyway, he gets dragged. All of a sudden, he gets grabbed and dragged into a big room, and all of the people that he's been interacting with, his schoolmates, the therapist,
mom, dad, sister,
the
brother,
judge, the sister, the mom, the dad, the sister, and they're all part of this. They're all part of society.
This is like the Truman Show.
Yeah, and he's the meal. So they all start, and I think there was somebody else they
were feeding on.
I think it was
at the moment
the dude who brought him the tape, wasn't it? Yeah, we thought he was dead earlier in the movie, but he turned out he wasn't.
No, he's just food.
And they were feeding on him, and so the way they feed on him is what they called shunting. The Great Shunting is what this scene was called. They're like, I guess it was what the event was called. Huh?
Why'd they have to call it that?
I don't know. That was Brian Yuzna's
the shunting
philosophy. Shunting is actually a railroad term.
What does it mean?
I think it's the hooking of two cars together. Or
Ew, that's why.
Something like that. Yeah.
Ew, that's creepier.
Yeah, and I think there's another definition. There's a couple of different definitions.
So literally, yeah,
the shunt that drains all the stuff from your brainstem.
A shunt is something that
if you have
to drain,
like spina bifida or something, you get a shunt put in, right? That drains fluid. That's another shunt term. But the shunting in this is literally putting their lips and morphing into a giant ball of
each other
of big league chewed big league chew.
Yeah.
And just sucking.
They look a little bit like the mascot of like the University of Kentucky.
What is the mascot of the University of Kentucky? They're like the mascot of the Reno Aces.
The Hilltoppers. Or the Aces mascot. Oh man. Remember when he had that phallic tongue too? At first,
big time.
And it used to come out and lick people.
So apparently the inspiration for this scene, the shunting scene, was partially like Brian Yuzna's nightmares. I guess he had a nightmare that was similar to this.
Yeah, this is my nightmares.
But then also Salvador Dali's painting called The Great Masturbator, which I think is freaking hilarious that it's called The Great Masturbator. But if you see it, you'll see why. If you've seen the movie and you see the painting, you'll understand why that it was an inspiration, because it's a dolly and it's a big amorphous pile of goo that's just melting and weird.
Why is it called The Masturbator?
I'm guessing that's so Dolly would have you looking at the painting going, why is it called The Great Masturbator? Because it's surrealism, right? So yeah, but this movie's nuts. It's bonkers. It's crazy. But it's all about the fear of, lower classes, fear of the upper class, especially right now with all the conspiracy theory shit about like reptilians and, all these secret societies.
Denver International Airport harboring
Denver International Airports and the reptilians. It's kind of perfect for that people who have that like fear of these secret, that really everything's just this secret cult.
Society waits for you.
Society waits for you. That's a creepy intro song. Oh, so the doctor at one point, so there's a couple of quotes in here that I gotta get. because I'm not going to have time to actually record them. So I've got to get to some of these quotes though. But there's one time when he's in the doctor's office and he says, doctor says, "How do you feel about your family now in light of all these recent victories?" "My family?" Bill says. "Yes. Nothing. I mean, I don't think about them. They don't think about me. We're just one big happy family, except for a little incest and psychosis." There's another scene where the best scene is like he gets away from the big group of when they're during the shunting
smorgy?
and he runs upstairs and he runs up to his parents' room and his mom and dad and sister are all shunting each other, I guess. Dad's face is in his butt and says something about like, "Now I'm a butthead," because he had called him a fucking butthead or something earlier.
It looks like someone took 3 claymation characters and like smashed them together.
Yeah, and his sister says, "Bill, if you have any Oedipal fantasies you'd like to indulge in, now's the time."
Oh, yeah. Here's the psychology behind that one, folks. Wow. It's going to take us a while to unpack.
And then there's the famous, "How do you like your tea? Cream, sugar, or do you want me to pee in it?" That was Clarissa, his honeypot chick.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's my favorite line.
Oh, gosh.
"How do you like your tea? Cream, sugar, or do you want me to pee in it?"
My favorite line is, "First we dine, then we copulate."
Oh, that's
Or
that's right.
"The hotter and wetter you get, the more you can do."
Oh, that was in the tape when she said,
Yep.
when
The hotter and wetter you get, the more you can do.
that was right after she said, "Guys are going to pop high ones when they see you."
You just can't write this stuff any better, folks. This was a wonderfully written movie.
And the creepy song in the beginning apparently is like the school song for some back east preppy ass school that's still to this day that's their that's like their school song,
because that's what they do behind closed doors.
Yeah.
We've seen the administration accusations against the Full House lady.
Right? Lori Loughlin?
Yeah.
She's
Next thing you know,
she's a shunter.
Next thing you know, it's because she's shunting the UCLA.
That's why. That's why all that stuff
head.
happens. They're all shunting each other and with each other, and that's how this stuff happens, man. That's how you end up with all this crazy elite corruption.
This is why we can't have nice things.
So apparently, when this movie came out, it was a big flop in the U.S.
I wonder why.
But it was huge in Europe, and I guess pretty big in Japan. I know it was big in Europe. And Joe Bob said when he did this last week, he said, "I just don't think people in the U.S. were ready for a story about upper class snobs who have a secret sex organization in Beverly Hills."
What?
Apparently. So, but that is Society.
Great
That is
job.
the great Brian
fun.
Yuzna film Society. That literally the last 20 minutes are probably some of my favorite last 20 minutes of any horror movie.
Pretty vile.
In history. It is complete bonkers. And I love the special effects. The practical effects are just out of this world. Incredible.
Go watch it on Shudder.
It's on Shudder. Yeah, it's on Shudder with Joe Bob's commentary. Again,
yeah, his commentary really adds a lot.
It's like $4 a month. I don't know why you don't have it already if you like horror movies. It is it's well worth it, especially with Joe Bob back now doing a regular show.
For sure.
So that's it, guys. That's our episode today. Anthropophobia, whatever it is. Anthropophobia. The fear of society and the movie Society. We're gonna be back soon. Hopefully, it won't be more than 2 weeks. We're gonna definitely promise you that we will try to get recordings out, episodes out, at least every other week.
You heard it here, folks.
I think in baseball season, it might have to be every other week, but we'll try. We'll try to do every week as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's just finding time to watch the movie and do the research and
edit and copy and blah.
And then copulate and shunt our way through the episode.
Shunting to be done.
There's much shunting to be done. So with that, until next time, guys.
Stay afraid. Stay very afraid.